I was just at the USTA facility, and you're walking around. They're like, oh, tennis helps like your mental. It's like healthiest sport, or like something like that. They have like all these
Yeah,
signs in
no,
the
I
campus.
coach a college team, and I know exactly what posters you're talking about at the USTA Center. We were down there. Yeah,
Like it's really like what? Like it's so not
it's
true.
hypocritical.
Hey, Dave. Haven't seen you in a while, Dave. But we got a special guest today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We sure do. You know what? It's Memorial Day weekend. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and it's great to have an outstanding guest on Backyard Tennis this morning.
Yeah, and we will welcome Ema Burgic, a Bosnian-born tennis player, who has won 3 ITF singles titles, 12 ITF doubles titles, was a 7-time All-American at Baylor, and she's back on the pro circuit after taking a break for 8 years. So we'll be talking about that, her journey on YouTube. She's a content creator, has Tennis with Ema, also has the Emazing podcast or the Amazing Tennis podcast. But super excited to get into it with Ema here.
We love a good comeback story.
Ema, how did you initially get into the tennis content creation world?
Okay, so like 5 years ago, around 5 years ago, I don't even know. The guy Intuitive Tennis, his name is Nick. He was one of my friends here. I coached his daughter, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you start, like online, YouTube, Instagram?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really don't want to do that." And he's like, "I'll help you out," because he's one of the OGs. Like he started this, online lessons on YouTube. Right now, he has like over 300K subscribers, and he does it as a full-time job. When I say it full-time job, it's a full-time job. Like I mean, I don't think I'll ever get there. But he was like, it can bring you more clients. I'm like, yeah, but I don't really like need it. But anyways, long story short, I started, and it was crazy because I went from, I had full schedule of clients, but then like I had to hire coaches. At one point I had like 8 coaches working for me. I had these groups. I worked at different clubs. I ran my own programs. People from everywhere came, to see me and to take lessons with me. It was actually pretty cool, like to see like the power of, the online presence, like how much it can help your business grow. And the thing is, for me, like I always stay true to who I am, and I, whatever you see online is what you get is in real life. And um and yeah, I was doing it, and like it's crazy now to look back, and I was like getting excited about like the smallest things, like getting like 10 k on Instagram. I thought it was like such a big accomplishment, and it is tough. It's really tough to get to that first, to break through, and then it's like easier, right? But the beginning is just so tough. And yeah, so like thanks to Nick and from Intuitive Tennis, and still to the day he's my mentor and helps me out. I don't do it full time, but it's something that I switched from just coaching to like 2 years ago when I decided to play. I'm like switched things more to like vlogs and like the comeback. But I feel, and I it hasn't been doing as well as it was before. So I feel like now I'm thinking, okay, like I'm gonna start more like also the coaching videos, and then the comeback stuff too. So kind of like put it all together. And I think it's gonna do better. It's constant like trial and error in this world and in this business. You constantly have to adjust, right? Like now this is working well, but this is not working well. So you have to adjust, and it's not easy out there.
Yeah, and I feel like as as someone who's putting out content, and you see something, a video gets really good views,
Yeah.
or maybe a video doesn't do as well, and you're like, okay, maybe I don't do that because the people don't want to. How do you kind of decide what you're putting out is it just long-term trial and error, and you're kind of letting the follower, the subscriber, decide kind of what is put out there, or are you doing stuff that you like to do?
So that's a great question. And I think that that's where I made a mistake in the last year, is that I kind of just went with what I want to do, because I started traveling and playing these tournaments and like, oh, I'm doing like the vlogs and this and that. And I mean, people like it, but like not as much as like how much I was getting, how many views I was getting before on the other videos. I'm like, I like this. I'm just gonna do it. But now I'm switching my mindset. Now I'm gonna go more into like what people actually want to see and go from the comments. And I think the engagement is really important. Like the comments, engaging with actually people and listening than just doing what you want. Long term, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. And um you do the Emazing Tennis podcast, and you've had some cool guests on there. Who has been your favorite guest that you've had on? Yeah.
Well, I think the most recent one that everybody is loving, it's with Carousel. That's literally the last one. I mean, there's so many of them that I really like, really, really loved. But that's like that one related to me so much. Like I honestly, when I was talking with him, I felt like I was listening to myself half of the time. It was kind of like really interesting, because our paths are very similar, yet are still very different, right? Like, so, but I learned a lot. Like, why I do this and why I started my own podcast is also like, I love connecting with other people, hearing their stories, because there's something you can learn from whoever you talk to. You can get something out of that conversation and from their story. There's so many things. Like, there's one with Carson Bronstein recently I did with her. I related to her a lot as well, but I also learned a lot of things about her that I didn't even know, and I loved how she was so vulnerable. That's what it's becoming more and more in my podcast. Like, people are just like being completely open and vulnerable instead of just like asking like the generic questions about, hey, how did you start playing tennis? And like, hey, where are you from? And what's your favorite shot? It's like more going into that. And people can relate to it, but not just in tennis, just in life in general. So I have like, after that conversation also with her, I have so much more respect towards her with what she's been through. When she told me, literally, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. She told me that she stopped playing tennis like November and December last year, right? For like 6 to 7 weeks. She didn't practice. She did Uber Eats. Okay. She was an Uber Eats driver, and she was going because she didn't have money in her account. She didn't even know if she's going to play tennis. And then she went and, played the finals of 125. And now she was at French Open, past one round of qualies. Anyways, like, then with Carousel, like, also his story, the ultimate conclusion, what I'm coming after talking to everyone, is like, there is really no one one way of doing things in anything, in content creation, in professional tennis, in coaching. You have to find, um, you have to ultimately start trusting yourself more and going with your own gut feeling and what feels right to you, and then sticking with that and making plan, obviously, and putting in the work. Then ultimately, I mean, that's another story. So you asked me like one thing, but I go off and I talk so much. I
No.
apologize, I talk a lot.
And that's how my brain works too. But one thing I really enjoyed about that Crew Cell podcast, that you guys recorded, was he, now, and you guys, like you said, have some similar stories, and kind of how you got to a certain point. One of them was when you guys were in college. You guys both shared, your collegiate experiences, and kind of like your relationship with your coach, and you both had a little bit of a different experience that way. But then, the second part of it was, the coaching, and he mentioned that he doesn't have as like a coach right now, because he likes to just game and like just kind of think for himself. Maybe in the past he needed a coach, where are you at right now with coaching? Do you have a coach personally? Do you seek out feedback?
Yeah, that's actually that was an interesting one because I go back and forth with that, and I spoke also with Carson about that. Um, and she was kind of like on her own, and then she goes like and gets advice from one coach and works a little bit, but ultimately she's alone, and she just broke into 200. Um, it's tough. It's tough. I've been thinking about that a lot. Like I do have a coach. Um, I have a coach that I started working with him last October. But I know him from way before. I've been kind of like on and off with him, and then I went back to him because I want to have a base when I'm here. So when I'm here, I want to like go and get my practices in. But also, okay, there's a lot of factors that go into it. We're not in the position. If I was in financial position, and I'm sure if Carousel and Carson, if we were in financial positions where we have all the money in the world and we have a good coach that can be with us, that can travel with us, I'm sure we would all say yes. And you really like that person, and like it's my choice. It's not because it was given to me, but we're not in that position. So we have to figure out what, and like most of the players at our level, they're not in the position to fully have a full time coach. So what I found that works the best for me is having this base here with this coach. And I really do like him a lot. But also, he cannot give me too much like one on one time, right? I do have one coach from Boston. He's my mentor, where he like the coach that is here, he when I'm training with him it's great, but he doesn't have time to write me to tell me what to do today if I'm at the tournament. Like he's kind of like when I'm here we're good, but this other guy is like on a daily basis, like kind of like giving me advice with, if I'm just going to serve on my own, like what drills to do on my serve, or if I want to play this tournament or that tournament. But I don't ultimately, I'm the one making decisions,
Mhm.
because I'm not 16 years old anymore that I need a coach telling me play this, and this. I've experienced it, but I'm still, to be totally honest with you, I'm still struggling with that, like deciding, do I really need a coach and listen just to one coach, and like, or you also have like so many voices, so many people want to like help you, and like they're giving you this advice, and then it becomes like, especially if you overanalyze and overthink, it becomes too much, right? So like Carousel said also, like you need to like try to I don't know, block out and like these all of these like outside, all of these advice, but at the same time you have to take some in.
Mhm.
Right. So
Mhm.
finding the balance. I'm not giving you a clear answer. So
But
I
no,
don't even know the answer.
that's got to be tough because I'm sure it's overwhelming hearing all these perspectives, and you know that all these people have your best interests in mind. That being said,
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard
Yes.
many things that are conflicting with other things that you've heard.
Yes. Exactly. But then ultimately, then you like have to trust yourself. But then I'm like, but maybe he's right. Like, but do I know my game the best? Like, why does Federer, whatever, why do the top players have this whole team around them telling them and giving them, like you can ultimately you can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone.
Mhm.
Like it's impossible. You need people around you, but it's like choosing the toughest part is like choosing the right people and the right coaches when it comes to everything: fitness, tennis, technique, footwork, physios. There's so many different physios now that, oh, this one is the best and this one knows your body the best and this one knows this, and it's like who knows what. And it's like the same thing with online. You have so many coaches telling you, oh, one day you're listening to this guy saying one thing about the backend, next thing is this guy. So it's just like ultimately, and we said it in the podcast too, ultimately, as a player, you need to know what's best for you and keep trusting that gut instinct and that gut feeling because you know yourself the best. And then forming the team around you, what you think is the best. But for you in this moment, maybe in a few months, that coach is not going to be good for me. But right now, he's good for me. And being okay with that. And then at the same time, as a coach, you need to first and foremost know the player and then to be able to help him because not everybody's so different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And going back to kind of the first time that you picked up a tennis racket, what sparked your initial love or initial kind of taste of the game that kind of got you into it?
I just loved it. I didn't know anything about tennis. My parents were not tennis players, and I honestly am a true believer that everything in life happens for a reason and a bigger purpose. My dad was diagnosed with cancer, and all of the doctors in Bosnia they told him, "You have 3 months to live." He went to Germany, got treated there. He's healthy. He's alive now. But the woman that was in the hospital with him, she bought two rackets for her daughters. They didn't want to play. And she's like, "Do you want to bring these two rackets to your kids? I have a younger brother." I was 7. And honestly, like, apparently, when he brought the racket, and I did not know what tennis was, I just fell in love with it. And they started sending me to group lessons. They never came to watch me. I just couldn't wait to play tennis. And then after like 6 months, the coach was like, "Hey, she's really talented. I think you're just born with some things like and that was it. That was tennis. Honestly, I think was my calling, and I still really think I just it was. I tried so many other sports, but nothing felt as right and as good as tennis from the first day.
And
Well,
you said that your family, helped you and maybe didn't have necessarily a tennis background. What did they do to support you and your goals through tennis?
I mean, I'm so grateful for my parents now when I look back because I'm a parent now as well. And it's tough, I'm my kids are 5 and 3. They're gonna be 6 and 4 this year. And you're slowly starting to decide, okay, what sport and all this stuff. And you my parents were really young when they had me. They did not know anything about tennis. They've been through so much. I was born during the war. Like, I grew up like not having anything. Literally first 4 years of my life lived out of a basement. And that's why I have that hunger in me. And I mean, there are a lot of good things and bad things that came out of that because, that hunger, that like the knowing of how it is not to have something or anything, um to like also like having this fear that I'm still struggling with. Like, I always go back to like this fear of like because first 5 years of your life you develop like your brain the most, right? And I was in the war, so like when it comes also in playing matches, like I get like scared a lot and I have this fear, and that's a whole other like mental thing that I need to break through. But going back to my parents, like they did not know anything. All they knew is that it was kind of like unexpected because I started playing so well. And then when I was 9, I played this tournament in Croatia where first two players get to go to the US for like Little Mo and play against two US players. And Ayla Tomljanovic and me, we represented Europe and we went and we played against US and we won. I was like only 9 and like traveling to the US and bringing home this big trophy was like such a huge deal. And my parents like honestly we're just going with it, and all they could do is that give their full support financially. Every dollar that they earned they put into my tennis, and they tried different coaches. I was in different ITF teams because it's an undeveloped country, so ITF was supporting. But my parents were kind of just going with advices from different coaches and kind of just taking it one step at a time, doing the best that they could with how little they knew about tennis. I'm sure there's some things that they would have done differently now, probably not not put me into like specify me just into tennis too early, because then I had injuries early on, and that's what I recommend to parents and coaches now. And with my kids also, that's I'm not gonna like just do one sport until they're like maybe 9 or 10, and then from there. But when I was 7, then it was just tennis and tennis, 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 tennis. But they didn't know any other way, you know. So now we have more information. Now we can educate parents, and from because in tennis, I mean, you get the burnout too soon, and it's happening less now, but like before, with all the players, as you know. Um, but like I said, they tried everything just to help me, and they didn't know any other way.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's some powerful stuff, Emma. And I think that you mentioned the burnout component. I would imagine that you've experienced burnout at some point, but still, it's clear that you have a passion for this game and that you've seen it in a variety of angles as a player, as a content creator, as a coach. You shared with us that you've got a deep, deep passion for coaching. As you complete this or go through this, we'll call it a comeback tour. How has your coaching experience and all the different angles that you've seen tennis? How has that made you better on the court, both physically and mentally?
That's a great question. I feel like I've lived a whole different, like in these. So I stopped for 8 years. I mean, I didn't play from 2016, and my first pro tournament was last year, 2024. So almost eight full years that I didn't compete on tour. And in those 8 years, I mean, I had two kids back to back, but I built my online business. I mean, the content creation, like I built my brand, I built my name, and in the coaching world here, I mean, I was a director of a country club at 29 years old. Like for a female pro, it's like not really common, while having babies back to back, and like done a lot, because that's me. I'm very career driven, and I think it's important to find something in your life that you're really passionate about and stick to that, and not worry about finances and money, because that's all gonna come if you're really like good at something and passionate what you're doing. Everything else is gonna come, maybe not right now, but give it time and it's gonna come. Anyways, what I've learned is, it has helped me a lot. That's why, as I was mentioning, um, whenever like I had this conversation with my coach, and he was like, this was like a few months ago, um, more than half a year ago, actually. He was like, you need to just focus on playing. You cannot do tennis and coaching and then also content creation and then playing, and then I'm also a single mom. A lot of people don't even know that. It's a lot, right? He's like, if you want to do this comeback, right, you're going to do it, put 100% everything into tennis, because you don't have that much time left. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, I just need to focus on tennis. But I've been doing that, and yeah, I mean it's good. I've been getting some results and all that, but at the same time, I am not fulfilled.
Hmm.
Like, and playing tennis professionally is brutal, especially when you're starting over and playing ITFs. But even when you're at the top, it's still brutal. Like everything, everybody talks about it, but not a lot of people know the grind at the beginning, 15Ks, 35Ks. So I've been I've kind of lost that like passion, what you're talking about, and kind of like I've been feeling more like down. And I've dealt with depression like for a long time. I was on medication. I haven't been on medication now for a year and a half. And I was starting to get those feelings again, like, I'm not liking this. And I do a lot of work on myself. And I think it's very, very important to constantly work on yourself, your mind, not just like the tennis aspect and the fitness, but like working, listening to the right things, reading the right things, or whatever works for you, surrounding yourself with right people. That's another thing also. Like there's no one way for everyone. I tried meditation, I tried different things. It doesn't work for me. I found what works for me, so I'm sticking with that. But it's ultimately, I need to be happy and fulfilled off the court to perform at my best on the court, right? And what does that mean for me? I literally just, because I'm a little bit injured, so like I have more time, I'm like, let me teach some lessons. And oh my God, yesterday I went with this kid and I was like, oh my God, I missed it so much. This morning I spent like, I don't know, 5 hours on the court, and I was like, I don't even feel like it. When you're in it and you're teaching so much and you're like, oh, you're so tired. But like, I love it and I'm really good at it. I'm not bragging or anything, but I am good at it and I really love it. And I love being with people. And I'm like, why did I take this away from myself? So obviously, I cannot work full time, right? But on the days, for example, so I share my kids 50-50. I don't have them this weekend. I'm injured. I can't train that much. I can spend some time on the court. And I also need the money too. So I'm like, I just realized how much I missed it and how much it makes me happy and fulfilled. So, and I think ultimately it's going to help my tennis as well. I mean, if I'm top, even if I'm like literally top 200, I make it. I still want to do an hour or two here and there because it really fulfills me and makes me happy and brings a different perspective of the game. Because then I'm like, I know so many things that I'm dealing with. I would tell myself, but why am I not applying that? So it's kind of like I'm taking not this, I wouldn't call it a step back. I'm kind of like reflecting and figuring out what is it that makes me happy and fulfilled that can help me also perform the best on the tennis court.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's thank you for sharing it. I mean, I think that's an incredibly healthy perspective to have. I mean, at the end of the day, you're a really talented tennis player, but you're a human being first and foremost. And um, I used to work at a sports psychology company, and we always talked about how sport is a microcosm of life. And for you to be your best, not that I'm your coach because you're much more talented than I am, but for you to be your best on the court during competition, you have to check off those boxes in your personal life first and foremost.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what like I have some friends, they're players too, and I feel like it is like since I started playing, right? Um I feel like and traveling to tournaments, I feel like I've helped so many players like just by like talking to them and then like they go and they like win a tournament like ugh, why I can't take my own advice. But it's like when they start losing themselves because it's so easy to do it in sports, right? Like because then you're just your mood and your life and everything depends on, oh, if I've won or lost. It's like life is so much more than just a tennis
The
match
results,
and
yeah.
and the results, but it's tough because then like you're, I mean, my comeback journey is gonna be way more popular and way more noticeable when I'm like making results and when my ranking is going up, right?
Mhm.
um when I'm like just going like that and then I lose and it's like, it's not that interesting, we're not gonna watch her that much because she's not winning. But like it's so much more than that. It's so much more than just winning and losing. It's like for me, where I'm at is like for me, going back to tennis at this age, God, it's scary, but it's like something that it brings me like bigger purpose. And it's like, and that I'm proving to myself that it's okay to also do scary things, like, and that it's okay to go for it, like, no matter what. I don't want to wake up when I'm 50 and regret, that I didn't try it when I was 30 and whatever. And that I'm okay with, like, that I feel the same if I made it and if I didn't make it, like that I went for it. I gave it my all and I have nothing else to give. And I want to be also like happy doing this. I don't want to be miserable, like I said. And I was starting again. And it's like, oh my God, tennis can really, I don't know. I was just at the USTA facility and they're like, you're walking around, they're like, oh, tennis helps like your mental, it's like healthiest sport or like something like that. They have like all these
Yeah,
signs on
no,
the
I
campus.
coach a college team, and I know exactly what posters you're talking about at the USTA Center. We were down there. Yeah,
Like it's really like what, like it's so not
it's
true.
hypocritical.
Like tennis really messes you up if you let it, like it really does. Like because if you just get in that like spiral and you let yourself like go, that's why like working on the right things, surrounding yourself with right people. If you work on your mental game, yes, yeah, but like I don't think tennis. There's no way that it helps you. I'm sorry, but like that's just my opinion on that. Anyways,
I think it's one of those things, to your point, that resonates so much because like I dealt with a lot of burnout and the mental struggles of tennis in college, and it's one of those things where it's so common. I think tennis is the type of sport that often draws perfectionists, people who are
yeah,
um, who are successful at tennis, but also in other assets of life. And when things
yeah,
don't go our way as perfectionists, it absolutely kills us. And we talk about so often, like you were talking about results earlier, like it is so easy to slip down that slope and drink the Kool-Aid of feeling like your life's worth is determined by your results on the court.
totally, totally. And I mean, you can relate, uh, but it's like it's hard to find balance, right? It's like okay, you want to work on your game, right? Like you want to get better, but you also want to win. And but it comes a point in your life you're like, okay, well, am I like what am I doing here? Like for me, this is just my where I'm at, right? Okay, I'm like 730 in singles now. And I just played a Billie Jean Cup, and back to back days I beat the girl that's like 190, then I beat a girl that's 204, then I beat a girl that's 400, 3 days in a row, right? Because I played one for my country. Then I go and I beat another girl at a 50K that just won a 50K. So it's like my level is there, right? Like I feel like I'm there, I'm playing good tennis, but then I cannot be like consistent with it, And it's like, okay, like I feel like my tennis is there, but then I'm not breaking through and winning a 35K. But I just won these four UTRs where in the finals or semifinals, I beat these girls that are winning 35Ks. So like why am I then I have this mental block of like I go there and I put more pressure on myself. I'm like, oh, I need the points. I need to break through here. So I need to prove that I can do it. It's stupid. But it's like, okay, um, do I just focus on improving my game or do I focus on like results? Because when I get into the match, like I have this like I'm struggling with like I hit the ball really good and really hard in practice, but then I get into match and I start like grinding because I grind. Like I can grind, and then like I win a lot of matches like that. But then it's like, okay, but I didn't like improve. But
Improve
what
your
does that
game.
mean? What does
Yeah.
that mean anymore? It's like, yeah, but I'm fighting. But then if I feel like I'm just gonna go and hit every ball, then what happens? Then I'm not as competitive, like I am, but I don't have that like, oh, I'm okay. Oh, that was a good shot. I missed by a little, but that was good. I'm working on the right thing. So it's just like a fine line of like finding that, like that's what I am struggling with. Of like, and that's what Kyrie was talking about as well. Is like when you get into the match, you have to let go of all of these thinkings of the serve, what you're working on your serve, forehand or backhand, and you just like trust it, and you just take it one point at a time, and you compete well, and you run for every shot, you hit the ball, But then when you probably are at the higher level, you're like top 100, top 50, whatever, they get to different little things, But at this point, I think it's about competing and not looking for like perfection.
Hmm. And it's so hard to do because in tennis, you look at those top girls and guys, and they look perfect. They're so fluid on the court and
Yes,
play at
yeah.
such a high level. And yeah, letting it go it's much easier to say, and it's much harder to do. When you're on court, there's so many things that are going through your mind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of getting into that flow state is almost like, oh my gosh, like it's almost like after the fact you go back and you look at your match like, hey, I actually got into the flow, and it doesn't happen every single time. What does a professional schedule for you? I know you mentioned that you're going through a little bit of an injury right now. What does a professional schedule look like for you right now?
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm struggling with is the schedule organization, tournament, picking the right tournaments, what to play, what not to play. Because last like three tournaments that I played, there were two 35Ks here in Boca, which is 30 minutes away from where I live, and there was now one in Orlando. But in the first week of a 35K, in the first round of the main draw, I slid and I felt like a pull in my groin. I was like, ugh. But then, anyways, I won that match. But then, like the next match, I didn't want to retire. I'm like, oh, you never know. I'll go there and play. And it's right here at home. So, anyways, I lost that. Took a few days off, retired in doubles. I was like, let it, heal a little bit, but I didn't really like rest it fully. So it didn't heal fully. I'm like, okay, well, I'm in main draw next week because now my ranking is going up. I don't have to play qualies of a 35 because last year I was playing qualies and I'm grinding and like dying in qualies to win 1 point. Where here I'm like, oh, I'm in 35 in main draw, so let me play. But I shouldn't have like played it because my leg didn't heal. But I had an easy first round. I'm like, I can get some points. So I did pass that round. The next round, like I didn't play fully, but I still was playing, wasn't resting. So those 2 weeks they were not smart by me because it was right here, and I really wanted to play.
Hmm.
But I had my coaches, I had some people saying, hey, Emma, don't. But, I'm also stubborn. So that's my problem.
Well, yeah, you're a
So,
tennis player. That comes with the territory. We're all stubborn.
anyways, the third week, there was another 15K in Orlando. I skipped that. I'm like, it's a 15K. I'm not going to play it. Let me rest. And I trained maybe like 2 days before. It was like, okay, but I didn't play points or anything. I'm like, let me go. You never know. And first round, I'm like, I'm playing. This was like Wednesday. But yeah, this Wednesday, like 2, 3 days ago. And I'm playing the second seed and I'm up 4-2. It's feeling like decent. Like okay. And then like 4-3. And then like I slid wrong again. It's like like I felt it. I was like, anyways, I was like, I was trying, but it was really like bothering me. I'm like, I don't want to tear it more. Anyways, I retired actually in the second set. I'm like, I'm just gonna stop. But when you see that you can win a match, even like not being 100% and kind of like with one leg, I'm like, well, maybe I can do it. But then I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, what even if I win this one round? So what? Okay, I get a few more points. I top 700, whatever. But like, right now where I'm at is I really need to heal my leg like fully, but not like okay, it's better, I can play on it, like no, I need to train and go be 100%. So I don't know, I'm supposed to go next weekend to 235Ks in Dominican Republic because I played well there 2, 3 months ago. I was like, I really want to go back there again, and it's on hard court, so for my leg is fine. But I don't know. If I will see how I feel and make the decision. Because also I have another big factor. I'm a single mom of two boys, and I'm not just your regular tennis player that just decides based on weeks and where to go. With my ex-husband, I need to figure out, he has the first 2 weeks of June, because in summer we switch. So I'm like, I want to go somewhere for those 2 weeks. But then, like, if my leg is not healed fully, I shouldn't go. But I'm like, I don't want to be home and I don't have my kids here, So it's very like emotional and very tough at the same time for me to decide like what's the best for my tennis and also for my body and for me emotionally as a mom. So it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I'm going home to Bosnia in July. I'll play some tournaments there. So I don't know in June if I'm gonna play or not. But I feel like with my tennis, I feel good. So I want to keep the momentum going. To answer your question, I don't know. I'm taking it one day at a time.
Mhm.
And
And
that's all you can do. I want to ask you, you mentioned that obviously you're a mother of two young boys. You've shared a lot about your approach and experiences with tennis holistically. How have those experiences, the ups and downs with tennis, help make you a better mother? And how is having your boys shaped your perspective when it comes to this journey through tennis?
It's amazing, honestly. I've been so grateful that there were some tournaments here that they were able to come and watch me, and it's just honestly, I love that they get to see me work hard and chase my dreams and go for it because they don't understand it now fully, but as they get older, they will. Um, but what they're teaching me is like they don't care if I won or lost. Like they don't care. Like I finished, it's like, oh mom, can we go to Chick-fil-A? And I was like, okay. And it's just like hearing their voices like, oh mommy, you got this, like, or it's okay, like I get to go home to them. And to me, it's like no matter if I win or lose, they're always gonna be there. And that like whenever I get into that mindset, I play so much better and I play so much more free. And I'm so much more like just grateful when you like narrow it down and like we do every morning, like at the breakfast, like we do affirmations and what we're grateful for. And um it just like brings that peace back,
Yeah, yeah.
that it's just a tennis match at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a great reminder that you're worth so much more than just wins and losses. It almost reminds me you sharing that of I don't know if you've seen Ted Lasso, um,
Totally love Ted
but
Lasso.
of Ted's son, obviously across the Atlantic Ocean. But when Ted's son comes to visit him, like yes, like follows the matches, but loves his dad unconditionally, just like your sons love you unconditionally.
Exactly. And that what means more than any tennis match, any trophy, any accomplishment. Obviously, yes, we work for that, but it's so much more in teaching my boys the resilience, the hard work. Also, so much more than just winning and losing. It's going to teach them lessons with anything that they do in their life. So that
Yeah,
that for me is way more valuable than anything else. Don't get me wrong. I'm really competitive and I really want to win.
yeah,
But there's this other part of life that's way more important.
yeah. It kind of lets you leave it at the door a little bit more. Kind of gives you little bit of a different perspective. Um, um, for the for your obviously you're massive on social media. Um, do you think that has helped get you into any draws, any or like allowed you to do something that maybe the traditional, person maybe who doesn't have a tennis influence, someone like yourself, has it opened any doors for you, do you think?
I'm hoping it's gonna keep opening, and it has actually, it has a lot, which which I'm really grateful for. I'm like, oh my God, all of my hard work is paying off, because it is hard work. When I go to tournaments and I get some wild cards, but now I'm hoping for bigger tournament wild cards.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that would be something like huge at like a 125 or a like any WTA. And I honestly think it's gonna come. I need to break through and win some more good matches. It definitely does help. Like it has helped me with um the coaching side and the clients. Now it's helping me here with brand sponsors and just the tournaments. And um yeah, so that definitely does help.
Yeah. Are you able to make like decent money doing your content stuff? Like, do you see that as a potential, maybe just career path, in itself?
Not fully, but definitely like side money, yes, but not enough for me to survive. Um, but who knows, maybe one day. I don't know. I'm very, very open minded and I love meeting people. And I think like that's how, and connecting with people because I think that's what life is about. And I mean, I'm open always like to learning more, to trying new things. And uh, I also don't say like yes to everything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just like, hey, this is great. I'm very also careful, but at the same time, who knows? I mean, who knows? I don't know what can happen. I would never think that I would be here 2 years ago. Like
Yeah.
playing professional tennis again, doing this again, and like I was literally no, no. So that's why I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time. I don't like to plan too much either. Yeah, you have to plan some things, but I don't like to look too much ahead because you never know what life brings, good or bad, and you have to be ready for everything. To me, it's like being happy on a daily basis, doing what I love, no matter how much money I have, what accomplishments I've made. um Honestly, like I want to live like I see myself, yeah, in a few years making good money and whatever, but like I kind of want to live the same, like just being happy with my everyday life.
Mhm.
Amen to
That's
that.
important.
Um, that being said, Emma, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I want to ask you kind of a final question here. You're 32 right now. You're playing tennis. You're an outstanding coach. You're a wonderful mother. Um, 30 years from now, what do you hope that when you look back on your tennis career, coaching career, just where you're at in life right now, what do you hope that you can say about yourself?
Wow, that's such a great and deep question.
Sorry to get all philosophical.
Nobody has ever asked me that. um what do I hope to, like what would I tell myself, or
Yeah, what
what
would you
would
tell
I
yourself, or what do you hope that your legacy is, or that you're remembered as?
Hmm. Just honestly, being creating an impact in other people's lives, like in a really good way, like from like this, like just creating an impact and being a kind and good and humble person. Oh, I know this sounds so cheesy, but it's like honestly that makes me the happiest.
Mhm. Yeah. And
That's it. That's it.
and to conclude, is there any specific shout outs or anything that you wanna give or you wanna put out into the world?
Shout outs. Hmm. No, no,
No
no
shout
shout
outs?
outs. No,
All right.
because I don't want to leave anyone behind.
Well,
That's
we'll
good.
be sure to shout out you. We're in your corner, and we wish you absolutely nothing but the best in your tennis career, but just in life.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you. Great meeting you, and I hope we meet in real life also
Yeah.
somewhere.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. We appreciate your time, Emma. You have a good one.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Do up diddling ding